are talking about it's Friday. I know a lot of people are already in the Christmas mode. It's the 23rd. And a lot of people are going to be spending time with your family. So, number one, happy holidays, happy Christmas. And I think it's also happy Hanukkah, I believe. So, whatever you celebrate, whatever you believe in. And today I thought we're going to, why not talk about flipping properties in winter, right? And this is the reason I'm talking about this is because this is an important topic, especially now. Most people aren't thinking about real estate right now, especially a day or two before Christmas. But I mean, this is really important. It's cold as heck outside, obviously, right? And it becomes absolutely critical right now, right? Whenever it's cold, that's when you need to double down. Everybody's going to be distracted with Christmas, so I hope you spend a day or two with your family. If you're on vacation, enjoy your vacation. But this time that is from sometime around, say, in December, especially after Thanksgiving, all the way into January, February, these are the colder months, especially if you're in the colder part of the country, and that's when most people go to sleep, right? And what is important to understand is in the last 2.5 years, for the first time, we're coming back to reality. And this plays really importantly with kind of what we're going to talk about, which is we're going to talk about flipping properties in the winter season. So if you look at the winter right after Corona happened, right, 2020, or if you look at 2021, those 2 years had nothing to do with a normal real estate market. Really didn't matter what part of the country you were in. So what I mean by that is this, right? Corona happened in March. That's when things started shutting down. April, May, June, July. By July, the market started skyrocketing, right? Numbers of properties selling just started going through the roof. And this is really important. And I'm especially talking to everyone in Mastery as I speak about this. This is critical, right? For God's sake, pay attention to this, because otherwise you're going to get caught with your pants down. I literally mean it, with your pants down. And already some people are experiencing this, which is that when the market shifts up, everybody thinks they're bloody geniuses, right? Instead of saying, hey, the market shifted up and maybe I'm not so good, right? Just because the market goes up and suddenly you make money. So I'll give you an example. In this is going to be July, August. Yeah, I think it was August of 2020. I'm not going to mention who. Somebody that I know from Mastery came to Mastery, and I'm going to use their example because you learn the most from mistakes. You don't learn from your wins, and this is a perfect example of that. So these people came to Mastery, and very nice people, and they had bought a property at the time that I was concerned about, because I could have gotten that property about $20,000 cheaper, and somebody came in and paid $20,000 more. Now, $20,000 more just happened to be these people. They come to Mastery, they're like XYZ house. I'm not going to mention where the house was, but this particular property, and I'm going like, oh my God, you realize that house has a lot of problems, right? They're like, oh, we didn't realize that. I mean, literally that night, they were from Gold Mastery. All night that was on my mind. And it was on my mind because one thing that, when you believe in something and when you're really passionate about something bothers you. And real estate is one thing I'm very passionate about, because I would not be here today had it not been for real estate investing. 100% I'm clear on that. Certainly real estate sales, selling real estate did not get me here. And so I happen to be extremely passionate, and if somebody in Mastery, their numbers are off, it bothers me. It bothers me as if it was my own money, because I have seen the pain of holding on to properties, meaning you have 5, 10, 15 properties sitting on the market for a flip, and they're sitting and they're not selling. I know how painful it is when it's as cold as it is outside. Even right now, I don't know, 10, 15 properties, 18 properties that are vacant, that are going into either rentals or Airbnb. They just got ready, or they're kind of in the finishing stages as we speak, right? And if you own that many properties, right, all the hundreds of other properties that are occupied, you're not worried about it because there are people in them. So you're like, okay, even if something freezes, at least people will know that something froze, so on and so forth. But if you own that much real estate, right, you would be concerned. I mean, if you owned a bunch of hotels and a hurricane was coming, if you're not concerned, I mean, you're just crazy, right? So it's normal to be concerned, but yet I know how painful it is when you have flips that are completed and that are not selling. 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19. Every single year, what would happen is people think that July is the best time to sell a property. July, August are not the best time. That's when the most closings happen, right? The best time to sell a property is February, March, April in the Chicago market. I'm talking about the colder markets. So if you're in markets like the Phillies, the Cleveland, the Ohio markets, the colder, when it's just, the snow is just going away, that February, March, April, May, June happens to be the best months when the highest prices are set. So you come into July, it suddenly gets hot. People start going on vacations. July, August, September, especially, and then there's a bump up again before kids go to school. And then September, October, November, the market starts basically diving down. This is normal for markets in colder weather. Now, what happened in the last 2 years was this example I was giving of these couple people. They come to Mastery, and I'm like, guys, and I was concerned because they had paid $20,000 more than I know, because I had a negotiated contract, and they came in. They're newer investors at the time. And they come in, they buy the property, and boom, guess what happens? $50,000 they spend to fix up the property. The property was fixed up nicely, but it still had a lot of defects, meaning there was a lot of structural issues with the property in a normal market, meaning not 2020, not December of 2020, not December of 2021. Those were abnormal markets. No inventory on the market, and there's buyers lined up that are buying properties back to back to back, right? In that market, boom, they sell it. And guess what? They make $70,000 on that deal. I mean, this is a deal I was concerned about, that they paid $20,000 too much. And their point was, Andrew, see, man, this works. We love Mastery because we got these loans. This is so great. And then they do their second, third, fourth flip, right? And they're hitting home run after home run after home run. Problem is this. What happens is this. And this is something that we have to be careful about, right? Warren Buffett's famous statement was that when the tide goes out, that's when you know who's swimming naked. And so what happens is, I see this happening all the time in real estate, that just because you've been investing in the good market, so if you're investing from 2001 all the way to 2008 in Chicago market, if you didn't make money, I mean, you were just a complete idiot. Right? And I say that 100%. Why? Because the market was going straight up, right? I mean, they were doing loans that were ridiculous. 2007 and 8 is when the market tumbled. Now, if you're in California, if you're in Arizona, Phoenix, if you're in the Vegas market, that happened to you from 2001, end of 2001 through 2006 and 7, because on the coasts, on the hot markets, is where the first signs of tumble, basically the market going down, come, and then they come to the Midwest, to the middle part of the country. Generally, the markets that are considered to be boring markets, i.e., Chicago being one of them, or Philly or Cleveland, those types of markets, right? So, if you weren't making money when the market was going straight up, I mean, clearly you should just quit, get out, right? Because you have no business getting in real estate if you're losing money when the market's straight going up. The real test is, can you make money when the market's coming down? Why am I talking about this? The reason I'm talking about this is this. We're in a cycle where, guys, listen, anybody who tells you the market is going down, if they look at the bigger picture, they either don't understand, right, of where the market is, or they're fear-mongering. That's it, right? At least right now as we speak, which is 23rd of December, as I'm talking, right? The market is not going down. It's coming back to reality. There's a big difference between when we call it a crashing market versus coming back to reality. Reality means, hey, till now, we were all fat, dumb, and happy. You could do no wrong, and guess what would happen? Still, you would make money. You could make all the wrong choices, and still, because the market was going up at a faster pace, so if you overpaid for a property in, say, August, like these people had, according to me, they had overpaid for the property, and then they sold it in December when the appreciation is not supposed to be there. That's supposed to be kind of the lower part of the market, September, October, November, December, January. In February, the market picks up again, right? Because people have been indoors and suddenly they want to start coming out. They're itching. So suddenly the market picks up a bump. So at that time, when you sell the property for 5% more than you would have in December, that's not called you being good. That's just called the market helping you. Now, you'll take all the luck that we all will, right? If sometimes you get lucky, you just have to know that, God, I got lucky. Thank you very much. Whoever you pray to, right? Or if you don't believe, in God, whatever devil or whatever you believe in, doesn't really matter. But whoever that is, you got to thank the big Lord up there and say, oh my God, I got lucky. I'm grateful, and I move on with life. Yet, if you start thinking you're good, right? So in this particular example that I'm talking about is sometimes when people think that they're good, and some of their mistakes, what I mean by that is that if you're subbing all your projects out to contractors, to not subcontractors, GCs, well, the GC is going to have a portion that they have to add. They're doing all the work for you. They're doing the adult babysitting to basically get all the contractors. So you're not earning your keep. There's only two places in real estate where you earn your keep. One is when you buy the property, meaning did you find a great deal? Right. And sometimes I get all aggravated whenever people tell me, Andrew, I bought the property from a wholesaler. Well, the wholesaler marked it up. You didn't find the property. The wholesaler found the property. So they made 10, 15, 20,000 bucks. Then you don't control the rehab, right? Which is you don't take on the headache of getting the work done. You don't have to do the work, but you certainly should be. If you want to be a serious real estate investor, you're going to control the work that is being done. If you don't control that, then you're going to lose another 15 to 20% margin, right? Because the GC has to make some money. So you lose another 15 or 20% there. And then what's going to happen is on the back end, your costs are going to be too high, right? What is going on right now the reason we're talking about flipping in a winter market, right? Generally, if you understand the psychology of most people, what happens is that most home buyers start coming out looking at properties after February 15th. Right? And February 15th, so February, March is when they are coming out and starting to look at properties. Oh, honey, we want to buy a house type of thing. Because especially in the colder climates, generally people are not buying properties generally in December or January. So that's when they come out. Guess when investors jump into the real estate market? Happens to be March, April, May, and June. If you follow the cycle, especially right before Corona, where the most amount of marketing, get rich with the real estate. Guess when it was done? February, March, April, and May, right? If it's done in February, March, April, and May, you suddenly start hearing ads, be it radio, be it television, be it internet. All the gurus would come to Chicago. I mean, they would do the circuit around the country, not just Chicago. And they're promoting that because people have New Year's resolutions that they said, this year, I'm going to be financially wealthy, right? This year, I'm going to lose weight. Like all of us have the same resolutions of just different types based on where you are in terms of your health or where you are in terms of your wealth. And what would happen is everybody would jump into the market March, April. Now, guess what's going to happen? You got the homeowners buying properties, you got the investors buying properties, and the market would jump up. Boom. So investors are overpaying because they're like, oh my God, there's no properties. The market's so hot. No, it's not hot. That is called artificial. Meaning that your perception when you started investing, you think it's hot. It's just a temporary up. And this is what would happen in the normal market, right? So the reason why I'm talking about that is this, that if you're going to understand flipping and understand it in the normal market, we're now getting close, not yet, but I think we still have a little bit of ways to go. We need to see these interest rates at a high rate for a period of time to absorb all the nonsense money that they put out in the market, right? They put out so much money in the market. The money was so damn cheap, right? I mean, I feel bad. I feel like a fool that I didn't go out and buy a big mansion. I should have, right? I should have done that last year, and I didn't, right? Because I was like, what am I going to do with a big ass house? So I never bought it. I should have done that, just go buy a $2 million house, because if they're giving you 3 or 4% rates and the inflation is at 9%, not buying a big, huge house, if you can afford it, I'm not saying that if you can't afford it, if you can afford it, right, would have been the smart thing to do, because you just lock in a rate, pay it down, pay it off, which I could have, and then boom, you have a big piece of real estate and I can sell it whenever I want. And in general, if I bought it right, it would have been a good deal. The problem is this, that what is happening with today's market, what is happening is the prices are sliding down. That is not bad. The only people that get hurt in that are homeowners. If a homeowner is buying the property last year and he overpaid for the property because there were multiple offers and they are forced to sell this year for some reason, or they're forced to sell in today's market, guess what's going to happen? They're going to lose money, right? And when they lose money, they're going to say, oh my God, I bought a $400,000 house, right? I had to sell it for 400, if not 380, if not 370, and I lost money. Real estate doesn't work. No. Real estate works. You don't know how to work it, right? The real estate is not the problem. The problem is you're buying a home to live in. You want the best schools, you want all the best things, right? So then even if you buy a house a year ago for 400, you sell it a year later for 400 because the market is cooled down, that's not called abnormal. That's in fact called normal, right? The real estate prices don't go up hand over hand every single year. This is a very abnormal concept that people have in their heads. Why? Because we had the abnormality from 2001 through 2006 and 8, depending on where you were, what part of the country you were in, right? And then again, we had this crazy thing happen from 2012 through 2022, this year almost, beginning of earlier this year, where prices went straight up. So everybody thought, oh my God, real estate is supposed to go up. Who said real estate is supposed to go up? Sometimes it'll go up, sometimes it'll go down, but in general, it has an upward trend, right? But there is a frictional cost, meaning anytime you sell something, anytime you buy something, you're going to pay expenses, right? You're going to have a lot of expenses. So if you're selling a $400,000 house and you have to sell it a year later, did you pay down the house at all? No, in a year, you're not going to pay down the house, right? Are you going to have still real estate agent expenses, attorney, if you use attorneys in your area, title company expenses? Yeah, absolutely. So on a $400,000 house, let's say you have a 6% expense, right? 6 times 4. So you're going to lose $25,000, $30,000 if you sold it for the same exact price, and the payments that you made on the house, you're not going to get back. But the payments don't count because you needed a place to live anyways, right? You would have paid exorbitant rent. So instead of that, you were paying it towards your mortgage because you chose to have a home. And I'm saying that is because investors, meaning people who bought properties correctly, are not going to lose money. Homeowners will lose money. So what happens to investors? So what has happened this year, and this is a transitioning market, and it is a pain period for a lot of people. That's why I'm talking about it, right? So these particular people that I was talking about, what happened was in 2020, a little bit earlier, they bought the property went straight up. So even though that property was screwed up, it had a lot of issues, right? A lot of issues. The windows were bowed. It had all kinds of issues. Guess what? Nobody can find a house, so they're buying any crap that's out there. You paint it, you just put it together, you slap new countertops on, boom. You look like a genius because you made $70,000. Now, all through 2020 and 2021, everybody got away with it. I mean, people made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. Now comes 2022. So if you bought a property early part of 2022, meaning you bought it in, let's say, December in 21, and you're selling it into the July, August, September market, well, guess what happened? Interest rates at that time in last December were somewhere around 3%. Now suddenly the interest rates are 6%. So what's going to happen? Your payment for the homeowners went up by $400, $500, $600. They suddenly are like, whoa, we're not going to pay this kind of crazy prices. The multiple offers went away. Property started sitting on the market longer, right? For a property to sit on the market 40 days, 60 days, 90 days, that is not abnormal, except the last 2 years, right? See, what had happened was this. We lost track of what is historically been the case. What is a normal market? A normal market is 6 months worth of inventory. See, I say that to say this, that if you are going to flip in the winter market, number one, what you have to understand is if I'm going to buy a property in September, October, November, December, I need to buy it at a really discounted price. If you can't find a property at a really discounted price, do not get into it. Why? Because if in October, November, December, that particular property ARV, meaning after repair value, is at 100,000. Going into January, February, March, April, probably it's not going to be that same value. Probably it may be 380, it may be 370, and then people are, well, no, the market is going down, Andrew. Why do you not understand that? No. The market went up artificially, right? It was not supposed to go up that much. It went up because they forced it up because they printed money, right? So the more money they printed, the more people kept buying properties because it was so cheap. Inventory was low. It was an artificial balloon. And all that's happening is some of the air is being let out of that balloon because that was unsustainable, right? And a lot of times people will say, well, these feds are stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And guys, listen, right? You and I, right? If you own 2 properties, 8 properties, 10 properties, 50 properties, 100 properties, 200 properties, right? Like us, right? You're not that smart and I'm not that smart, right? To assume people who are truly, now is there politics involved in it? Of course, politics is involved in everything. But to assume that the feds are stupid or somebody at that level who are making policy based on the national level, if you think they're stupid, I don't know who's the bigger idiot, you or me. And the fact is this, that the Fed's intent is not, if you believe that the intent of the Feds is to have a good economy for the American people. I hope that's it, at least. I want to think positively about our country. That if that's the intent, then you can't think they're stupid. They're supposed to be some of the smartest bunch of people. Now, do they get it right every time? Of course not, right? So I'm not saying that they're getting it right every time. And we won't know if they got it right today until we look back 5 years from now, right? And it depends. If you lose money today, you're going to blame the Feds. If you make money, you're going to basically say, hey, the Feds were great because their policy worked for me, right? What happened in 2008? I loved it because otherwise I would not have been investing today. Because what happened in 2008 was everybody that had been stupid, guess what happened? Suddenly they were wiped out. It gave people like me an opportunity to enter the market and basically pick up the pieces of people who had done crazy things, right? And now people will blame the market, but they can't blame the market. If you really understood the market and you knew craziness was going on, you would have sold your inventory. Or if you started buying 2001, you would have leveraged down instead of keep leveraging up and kept building this big, house of cards. Like, I'm not that worried about all the properties we have owned from 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, when today the interest have jumped up. Why? Because we have a 30-year lock on these loans. So our debt on that is 40%, 30%. A lot of them are paid down. And now some people will say, well, but you could have refinanced millions and millions of dollars. Well, yeah, but that's not how my brain works. I want to be conservative. So I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't grow to this level. It's okay if I'm only here, but at least that portfolio is worth millions and millions of dollars and I will keep it, right? Why? Because as the interest rates adjust. So what I'm trying to say that today is this. If you're going to flip in winter market today, if you truly understand what's happening in the market today, look at properties that are highly desirable in good desirable areas. So if you look at A areas, if you look at B areas and B minus areas, properties are selling, period, right? Even properties that are $300,000-$400,000 properties, $500,000 properties, if that's close to the median and even 10% up from the median. So what do I mean by that, right? What I mean by that is this, that let's say if a property in the median would be considered in Naperville, it would be about $500,000. 500,000 to 550 would be the median for Naperville. For Schaumburg, the median is going to be somewhere around 400,000, right? For Buffalo Grove, it's going to be somewhere around 400,000. So it's going to depend on the area. There are going to be other areas where the property price median is going to be somewhere around 150, 160. That's the median. In that price range, properties are selling. Properties that investors want on the lower end, they're selling. Even today, even in a market that's supposed to be down, right? They're selling. Why? Because there's still a strong buyer demand, even with the interest rates as high as they are. Now, if the interest rates stay here, and is there going to be still a buyer demand? We don't know. That's yet to be seen. But yet, right now, as things sit, there is a demand on those. But yet, anything that was overpriced. So if you go look at the Phoenix market, you go look at the Vegas market, a lot of those markets, the appreciation number has been so tremendous, right? When properties go up 30%, 40%, 50%, something has to give when the market comes down. And that downtrending of the market, that is not a market collapse, right? Anybody who's saying that right now, to me, it's done for clickbait. Now, if it's done for clickbait and it attracts a lot of people to watch the videos, great, they're smart. But they know the reality that it's not a collapsing market. Just because the market comes down by 5, 10, 15%, right, doesn't mean that's a collapse in the market. It's gone up by 50%. So that's not a collapse. It's just coming back to reality. And we have to find that delta, I should say the right baseline is what we have to, again, find in the market. So if you're going to do flips today, number one rule you have to keep in mind is you have to future pace the market. That's number one, meaning if you're buying in dead of winter, you got to think in your mind that, hey, what if the market goes down by 5%? What am I going to do? So when you're buying a flip, you have to assume your ARV is going to be less by 10%. So you double the bad news and you half the good news, right? This is a basic rule of investing in a market like today, this is just a rule I came up with. So I call it double the bad news and half the good news. Now, you double the bad news whenever you buy, meaning if I'm making offers today on properties where there are comps that sold for $350 in the area, if I'm buying, let's just say that property for Airbnb, right? The seller's like, well, that property sold, down the street. My neighbor sold it in March and they got $350, $360. Well, if your neighbor got $350, $360, if today I was to fix up the property in mint condition, I'm not going to get $350, $360. I know that, right? I may get $310 or $315, right? Maybe $320, $325, right? Now, in some markets, like let's just say if I take a Naperville market, I take a Buffalo Grove market, I take a Schaumburg market, the prices are pretty similar, not quite there, a little bit softer. But if I go to a B market, C market, the prices are softer in that market. That's just the reality. So when I'm going to buy, I'm going to base it on that, hey, 350 was highly optimistic at a ridiculous time in market, like last December maybe, right? Or last September, October, November, maybe. But today, I'm not going to get that. So I'm going to basically say, hey, maybe it's only worth 310. Maybe it's only worth 315. Based on that, I'm going to back into the calculations. So I'm going to take 70% of that 310 or 3 value, somewhere around there. Then I'm going to subtract the rehab number. So a person who's looking at 350 value, they probably will pay 10 or 15,000, 20,000 more than I'm willing to pay. I would rather miss out on deals today rather than buy deals which I think may have any issue, may get stuck because of the pricing. So I just bought a property where the back end value in that area should be all day long, right? All day long, 315 to 320 minimum, right? That's the minimum number for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath property in this particular area. It happens to be in the north suburbs. And I offered, the property was listed 195 or something like that. It needs work. I offered 160,000, right? They said it was multiple offers. I'm not sure if it was multiple offers or not. I got suckered into paying 165 for the property. Now, 165, if I put 35,000 of work into it, which is what I think the property needs, let's just say I miss my target, I pay 40, right? So 165 plus 40 puts me at 205. 205 plus 10, 12,000, 15,000 in carrying in other costs plus selling costs. My number in the deal is somewhere around 225 all in if I calculate all my costs. So at 225, if I was to sell it, even if, let's say I miss the market, right? And I don't sell it for 310, I don't sell it for 300, I don't sell it for 290, I sell it for 280. Still, what it does is it gives me a nice 45 to 50,000 on profit. I think it's going to be more, but I'm at least not overpaying for the property. So number one is you got to double the bad news, you got to half the good news. So what does that mean in practicality? What it means is if the news media is saying, hey, the market is losing 5%, 8% a year, what you do is you take that year basically and you consider that for 6 months. So the way I do it is I'm like, okay, I think the market is going to contract, or it's contracting by about 10 to 15% is what I think, right? So if I think it's going to contract that much in a year, I want to buy the property, rehab the property, resell the property in 6 months or less. Otherwise, I consider that a failure if the property doesn't sell in 6 months. That to me is a failure, may not be to you, right? And you're perfectly fine to define your own rules. So if that's the case, that I think because what I feel is when you hold on to a property 7, 8, 9 months, now you start getting to a place where you're not going to make much money. And I don't want to do a flip where I'm going to make 25, 30,000 bucks. It's not worth the time. It's just absolutely not worth it. Minimum 45,000 and up is what I want to make minimum, after cost of money, after cost of everything, right? That's my rules. Your rules may be something different. So if I want to get the property sold in 6 months or less, I want to calculate, because the way I'm going to sell a property in a market like today is not because it's nice, right? Nice is something that is given. That if you're going to sell a property on the market today, it better be in nice condition. It better be updated. The expectations today from what the towns and the villages want you to do the work, they want you to pull the permits. Gone are the days like you could do that in 2008, 9, 10, 11. So that's important, right? Other part is the buyer and their home inspector. The home inspector today kills more deals than ever before, right? Because we have gone from a society where there were lawsuits to everything today is considered from a lawsuit. So everybody is trying to cover their back end, right? Their rear end. So the home inspectors are tougher than they've ever been. They're justifying what they're getting paid, and they're just doing their job. It's not like I'm not blaming home inspector. I'm just telling you where the market is today. And what happens is, guess what happened? The demand that we had, an extraordinary demand, the extraordinary demand went away. So the only way you're going to get your property sold quickly is it has to be a decent location. It has to be fixed up nicely. It has to be done by the book. And it needs to be good value in a market like today where the interest rates are up. Suddenly people go back to focusing on value. So what I'm saying is this, that if you're going to flip in a winter market, you need to be extraordinarily careful, right, of what you pay for the property. If you overpay today, I mean, your goose is cooked. And guys, if you have property sitting on the market, either get those sucker rented out, do Airbnb, do not let properties age on the market, right? A bottle of wine, right? When it ages, it becomes better. A property, if it sits on the market, it never gets better. If it's been sitting on the market 45 days, 60 days, 80 days, 90 days, 100 days, guess what? You got to do something. You got to do a big price cut, get rid of the property, or go ahead and rent it, figure out another plan, right? The property needs to be in a price range where, number one, it's median. Do not go do flips on the higher end of whatever that town that you're in. So in a Naperville type of area, an 800, 900,000, $1 million property to me would be more of a boutique property. I would not try to go do flips in that price range. It doesn't make sense. Even though the area is nice, still, that is the higher end of the price range. So number one rule is that, which we talked about, which was double the bad news, half the good news, right? Number two rule is going to be is you need to get rid of properties in a maximum of 6 months. That means buying the property, rehabbing the property, reselling the property, right? And the people that I was talking about earlier, that I started with that example, right? If I go back to that example, well, guess what's happening today? They have some properties that are sitting today, right? And some of these properties are overpriced. They're terribly overpriced, right? And my heart goes out to them because guess what? Some of their eggs, or a lot of their eggs, are in that basket that, oh my God, when I sell the property then, right? This is where you're going to get in trouble. Real estate doesn't change overnight. Real estate changes every month. You see a decline or the real estate prices go up. When property prices are adjusting, that's what's happening today, right? We're not in to me, we're not in a real estate recession as far as I'm concerned, right? We're just in a back to reality situation, and that's going to be painful, right? Meaning, if you're overweight, right? If you have been eating and you've been unhealthy, to get back in shape, is that going to be a little bit of pain? Yes. Are you going to like it? Probably not. right? None of us like it. I mean, I don't want to go basically exercise, right? I don't want to do stuff. I don't want to maybe cut down on eating a little bit. But guess what? If I want to be in better health generally, and I want to lose a little bit of weight or something, then I'm going to have to make some tough choices. Not necessarily that I'm going to like it, right? But probably in the long run, it's going to be better for me, for my health. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm sure you're a perfect weight. So the reason I say that, it's the same way in real estate, right? It's no different, because today a lot of people look at it, oh my God, there's a real estate calamity. There is no calamity today, at least not right now. 6 months from now, it may be different, right? But today, as we speak, there's no real estate calamity, absolutely whatsoever, period. Because if you look at the rate of default today, we're somewhere at 0.05 or so percent nationally. Now, Chicago is going to be on the higher end of it, right? But still, even in Chicago, we're at 0.09% or 0.0887%. That's the exact number today in Chicago. So we're generally going to lead the nation in defaults. Why? Because Chicago happens to be one of the biggest real estate markets, third biggest real estate market in the country, right? So that's going to have higher numbers. Number two, we have the highest amount of FHA buyer pool in the country. So that's going to have an effect, because these people got in these properties with nothing out of their pockets, or maybe 2.5%, 3% out of their pockets with the seller edits and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is this, that we're not in a terrible market. We're just in a correctional market. And that correctional market is going to create pain. But if you are a flipper, today is not the time to basically push the numbers. Today is a time when you want to get turns. You want to get good turns at bat, even if you make a little bit less money, right? So if I don't have flip sitting, but if I had flip sitting today, even though I may not like it, I'm only making 25, 30,000 bucks, 35,000 bucks, right? Remember, my rule is 45,000 is what I want to make per flip. But if it's sitting, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of the property. I'm going to get rid of it before I get to a point where I'm making almost no profit or having to put money out of pocket. Because as the property ages, the property prices are going to decline, right? Generally, last year, what you could do was and this is something we had done, that if your property is on the market right now, right, just take it off and put it back on the market in February. Now, the problem with that is this. Generally, in a normal market, that works. In February, you'll get 5 or 8% more, right? Why? Because there's a pent-up demand in a cold weather situation. Suddenly, there's a lot of buyers in February, March. People want to get ahead of the rush. So in spring is the best time to sell a home. Today, the problem is this, right? Today, we're at what, 6.8, 6.9, somewhere over there in terms of interest rates, whatever the 6.5 for regular homeowner rates, right? Now, what if they bump up the interest rate quarter more? So if they bump up the rates quarter more, that's not going to help you. That may hurt you. So today, it's important to slash your price, get rid of the properties, and go into deals, go into flips where you beat up the seller. Now is the time when you have to start beating up the seller. And you have to beat them up more and more and more, because guess what? If you're doing a rental, your back-end numbers may come in a little bit more conservative, right? Even though the rents are really strong, but your back-end numbers are going to come in more conservatively. So what I'm trying to say is this, that if you're flipping in a winter market, right, even if you are in Florida, right, it's the same, that things have cooled down a bit, right? That doesn't mean, oh my God, everything is gone in hell in a handbasket. Now, if the market was just crazy and the number of people moving to Florida has not gone down, right? It still seems to be up. But guess what's going to happen? The builders are going to have more discounts. The builders are sending out emails now in Florida where they're like, oh my God, we were selling the property last year for $390. Today we have such a good deal for you for $369. No builder is going to send you that when they don't have to give discounts, right? They were pushing the edge because the building cost was high. Everything was high because of inflation. So my point being is this. Number one, you got to buy it correctly. Number two, you can't have the property sit on the market for more than, to me, 40, 45 days. That would be the max. I would really keep on top of aggressive price reductions. get your property sold if that is not a property that you can rent out, or if that's not a property that you can turn into Airbnb. The next thing is going to be is that what is your cost of money costing? As the interest rates have gone up, right? So have the, if you're borrowing a bridge loan or whatever the case may be, have a mastery loan, you know, in 4 or 5 months or 6 months, your 2% additional is going to come up. You're going to get hit with a penalty. So these are important things that become important as you're flipping in the winter market. Again, as I said, today we're in a correction, right? Everybody was, oh my God, anytime economy shrinks, we're in a depression, Andrew. You don't, you don't understand. We're in a recession, excuse me, right? In a recession, no. The market in real estate had gone ridiculous, right? We had nothing. We were so void of reality that, guess what? I mean, if you have kids, right, their kids basically go out and eat like crazy and they go nuts. And because of that, they're sick, right? If you go to the bathroom too much, what is the best thing to do? Okay, cut it out. You know, maybe don't skip a meal or two. You're not going to die. Nothing's going to happen to you, right? You probably get back, your body will restore itself. It's the same way with real estate, that we have to realize we're in a market that is correcting itself. And in a correctional market, we as investors need to be more careful. If you're a new investor, there's nothing to be scared of, right? It's not like you're not going to sell properties. Some of the best times, hear me again, some of the best times for you to get in are when everybody is getting out, right? Again, some of the best times to get in is when everybody is getting out, because if everybody was knew so much, everybody would be successful, right? And the fact of life is, it's called the 180-degree theory. Get in when everybody's getting out, and get out when everybody's getting in, right? Last year, you had to be much more careful what you were paying, because why? Everybody was paying crazy amounts. Today, on the investor side of things, still there's a huge demand for properties. Good properties, meaning properties that are valued correctly, properties that are priced correctly. Guys, they're selling. They're selling pretty darn quickly. They still have multiple offers. Why? Because they're priced correctly. The market will find its base. It's just a matter of time. Having said that, again, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or whatever you celebrate, Happy Holidays, if that's what you celebrate. We will talk to you on Monday, and have a safe weekend and have a good day.